We're going to be going through how to set up and use the fees report in Lizzy. And to do this, we're going to first start in the contact section. And I'm really not going to do anything specific here. I just want to mention one thing, and I'm just going to look up, it really doesn't matter. I'm just going to look up anybody. And so when you're setting up your vendors and suppliers and all that stuff, one of the things is your government agencies. So this is kind of important because the government agency that you're going to have to pay for the fee, if it's a fee that you have to send in to the clerk of courts or whoever, you need to make sure that they're set up as a government entity, so that the system will allow you to choose them in the list that I'm about to show you. So that's the first thing. The next thing is we're going to go over here to settings, finance, and we're going to go to finance defaults. And then you'll notice down here we have each of the fees listed and then who the vendor is that we're going to pay when we actually collect that particular fee. So this is where we're setting up our default fees and all that kind of stuff. And so we need to choose the vendor that we're going to pay whenever we collect, for example, a license and registration fee. So once you get that set up, then we can actually get around to running the report. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go over here to reports, and we're going to go to invoicing, and we're going to run this fees report. Now there's a few options here, so I'm going to try to cover all of them. And so first I'm going to go down here and we're going to choose last month, and I'm going to run the report. And you'll notice that there's nothing, and there's a radio button here that says unpaid and paid. So everything has been paid for last month at this particular dealership. So I want to look and see what they actually paid. So I'm going to change this over to paid, run the report again, and now I have a summary of everything that they paid last month. Well, if I'd like to see additional detail, and also notice up here is where you pick the vendor that you want to actually work with. And by the way, before you can actually run this report the first time, you have to click this configure fees button, and this is going to allow you to select the fees that you want to include in this particular run of the report. Now I'm on paid, and I want to tell it to include detail. So we're going to go ahead and run the report again, and now you can see that we have a list of each individual invoice and what it was. Now I'm going to uncheck the detail again, run the button, and let's hit the pay button, which, by the way, you won't see. I've got this turned on at the moment for the video, but it doesn't make any sense to pay things that are already paid. I'm just doing this so that you can kind of see how things work. So at this point, we're on paid, but just imagine that we're on unpaid. So I'm going to go ahead and tell it to pay this fee list. And notice that the options that I'm given here are specifically related to the way that I'm viewing that report in the background. So as an example, I'm viewing summary, so it's giving me the ability to pay in summary, and then you select whether you're writing EFT or payables and process it. So let's close that, and we're going to select show detail and run the report again. And now if I scroll down here to the bottom and we hit pay, you'll notice that I actually have each individual entry here and the ability to pay each one. So I can just come through, select the ones that I actually want to pay, and then come down here to the bottom and again select whether I'm writing EFT or payable, and then what checking account if I'm doing an EFT, and then process the payment. So you have the ability now to either pay as a summary or pay individually. And that really is all there is to working with this fees report and really working with fees in general in Lizzy.